Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Peoria Riverfront Museum. My name is Renee Kerrigan. I'm the Curator of Science and the Planetarium Director, and I'm so happy to have you all here tonight. Thank you for coming. We have a great evening in store for you. I just wanted to start us off by thanking our museum members and Visionary Society members who are here tonight. Your support makes this program and other fantastic programs like this possible, so we are grateful for you. We have a lot of exciting things that have happened this summer. I hope you've enjoyed seeing Art of the Brick, and I know you'll enjoy meeting the artists behind that fantastic exhibition tonight. Coming up this fall, you won't want to miss our next exhibitions, Moon and Contemporary Photography from the Whitney. Both of those open on September 14th, so be sure to check those out. But without further ado, let me introduce our museum's CEO and President, John Morris.
Thank you, Renee. Are we ready? Yes. This is going to be quite an evening with the world's greatest Lego artist, Nathan Sawaya, has come to the mountaintop, Peoria, Illinois. And our team here on behalf of our board of directors, some of whom may be in the audience tonight, but on behalf of all of the members of the museum and the Visionary Society members, I welcome you all. Our visitors were packed house tonight. What a great crowd. In this theater, so much inspiration takes place. But tonight, I think we're in for a real treat with the artist who you will learn much more about from the man who will interview him tonight, Ed Sikowski. How many people know Ed Sikowski? Oh, he's got a lot of fans in the audience. But Ed Sikowski was on local PBS WTVP for 5 years with a program called Interesting People. And Ed himself is a successful business attorney for decades here in Central Illinois. But Ed, as a passion, loves to interview people and get to the core of what makes them tick. And as a lawyer, lawyers know how to ask those questions. No lawyer jokes tonight, because we've got one lawyer interviewing and one former lawyer making Lego art. Nathan Sawaya. We'll be hearing more about that, but we're very pleased to have Ed and really the premier opportunity for us to bring Ed Sikowski and his Interesting People format to the Peoria Riverfront Museum. Now, before we bring them out, I have to say a word about this museum and what it is we do with great volunteers and supporters like Ed Sikowski and so many of you in the room to bring about inspiration. That's our mission. And if you want to see whether or not we are making a difference to inspire people, come through the Art of the Brick exhibition and then see those children and adults and seniors. We had one Art of the Brick fan today at a luncheon, 99 years old. You're never too old to enjoy some inspiration. How many people have been through the Art of the Brick exhibition? Well, I think that's just about everybody. This exhibition is one of the great summer family fun exhibitions, probably the biggest we've had to date. It will be the biggest we had to date, and it will continue as we bring summer blockbusters year after year to the Peoria region. And so thank you for joining us in supporting this endeavor to inspire people. A couple of shout outs. First to SEFCU. For those of you who may know, Art of the Brick by Nathan Sawaya would not be in Peoria if it weren't for SEFCU's largest presenting sponsorship in the history of the museum to help us bring this world-class exhibition in. Along with, yes, thank you, SEFCU. He cannot be with us tonight, but one of our board members, Mark Spenny, president of SEFCU, and the whole SEFCU team, we're very grateful for. We also really appreciate the Gilmore Foundation. Gilmore Foundation put up a significant contribution, and Bob Gilmore, who was that 99-year-old who was here today, wanted to help bring the Lego art of Nathan Sawaya to Peoria. Isn't that terrific? So for all of you who support what we do, stay tuned. Big things are here and even bigger coming to the Peoria Riverfront Museum. And tonight, it gives me great honor to introduce Ed Sikowski and Art of the Brick genius, artist here from Los Angeles to Peoria, Illinois, Nathan Sawaya. Help me welcome him.
Thank you.
And thank you. Nathan, this is not your first time here. You were
No.
here 10 years ago?
Yeah, at the Lakeview Discovery Center.
What was that like versus what you're doing now?
Well, I really like where we're at now. This is a beautiful facility, and it only enhances the art by this facility. Just everyone here has been fantastic to work with, so I'm pretty excited to be here again.
Studios, Los Angeles and New York. A number of bricks in Los Angeles.
Well,
Can't hear me? We're all set? No, you're doing a good job here.
no worries. So we were talking about Los Angeles and New York studios.
Yes.
The New York studio no longer exists. I've had to shut it down, and I've moved everything to 2 studios in LA. And the thinking there is, New York is a pretty crowded city, so I can have much more space in Los Angeles. So I have 2 studios now in LA.
And the number of bricks, it's always a curiosity. 1 million, 2 million, 10 million?
We're at 10 million bricks now. 10 million bricks in the studio.
And you order these by pallet size.
Yeah, I mean, I need a lot of bricks. and there's some truth. I'm being serious in that if I'm working on a project and I want, I'm working on something that's, say, red, I don't want to be thinking about running out of red pieces or how many red pieces do I need. I just want to be able to just keep grabbing the bricks I need and keep building. I don't want to think about that. So I keep a very large inventory, and it's true. I order by the pallet. Not the color palette, a wooden pallet of bricks shows up every month, or several pallets. I order hundreds of thousands of bricks every month to keep that inventory full.
And that's probably a good deal you have with the Lego. I mean, not too many people can order by the pallet.
It's a good business relationship. I still buy my bricks just like everyone else. The difference being I do have that access to buy hundreds of thousands of bricks. I can just email them and say, hey, I need 600,000 2x4s, and they ship them over. But I am buying them just like everyone else.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting and strange. Here, you're an international spokesperson for Lego. You've had 80 venues throughout the world,
Right?
and yet your only concession, not economic, is access.
But access is key. Access is key for me because it's about having the pieces I need to create the art I want to create. And that's more important than saving a few pennies here or there on the brick. For me, I want to have that material. And so that's the key. I have to have that full inventory. And it makes me feel safe. It's a weird phenomenon. If I'm working on something, it makes me feel secure knowing I have, say, 500,000 red pieces. I don't have to worry.
I'm thinking about the process. I know during the course of an opportunity, I'll call it,
Sure.
you have M&Ms, and you also have black coffee. And your dog, is that right?
Right. Yeah. My studio is it's the focus is on the art. There's not a lot else in there. There will be some M&Ms from time to time. There will be some coffee, and there will be some music playing. I like a little music in the background. Some days it might be just something classical. Sometimes I need a little more pep in my step, and it just depends on what I'm working on. But then my dog does sit at my feet. She just sleeps there all day.
Boo.
Boo.
The background of Boo, I'm kind of curious how Boo came into the
your family.
Well, Boo is a rescue, but Boo is a rescue dog. Boo is a mix between a retriever and a Brittany Spaniel. So she's, of course, gorgeous. And she's a rescue. She had a hurt paw at the rescue center, so they just wrote Boo Boo on her tag, and that's how she got her name. And she is the type of dog who it only took once of chewing on a Lego brick to understand, oh, these aren't for me. So she's a good studio dog, and she's fine with listening to me rant and rave, and it's just the two of us in the studio generally.
Now, the last location was Dallas, Texas.
Well, we're actually still in Dallas.
And that population is about 1.34 million.
Okay.
And we're here in Peoria of just about 120,000.
Right.
And then next is Tel Aviv, Israel. That's 435,000.
Yeah.
And then next is Sao Paulo, Brazil, of 12 million.
12 million, yeah.
So how does Peoria get into this mix? You were here before, but this is River City. This is not the heartland of the Midwest. And yet, this enormous opportunity is right there in Peoria.
It's worked out rather well for me. I mean, I think a lot of credit goes to this museum and John and everyone here who made this facility so amazing. And I'm just honored to be here. And I think the truth is, I have several exhibitions that are on tour, and I'm just lucky to be still touring. And to be at somewhere like this that's so great, it's just a blessing.
Well, that's nice. You have been suggested as being the 8th most popular artist in the world.
I don't know about that.
Well,
I don't know about that.
That's what someone said in 2012.
Well, yeah, well,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. I don't know.
You can't help it. You know, that's such a thing that you desired as a kid to be the 8th most popular artist in the world.
Who's number 7? No, it's fine. It's fine. Never mind.
That's Vincent Van Gogh.
Oh, that guy.
You know, the
Every
ear guy.
time.
The ear guy.
Yeah.
Then television, you were a guest on several television specials, publications. In other words, let's talk about where you began. You're now 46 years old.
Yes.
Your birthday was just this July.
Yeah.
And you were born in Colville, Washington,
Right.
which is about a mile or so outside of the big metropolis called Veneta.
No. So Colville, Washington, is where I was born. But then we moved to Veneta, which is actually in Oregon, and it is a metropolis in that it has 2,500 people. So very small town.
And a gas station.
If you're lucky. Yeah.
A
One gas station.
Dairy Queen, I understand.
Yeah,
Dairy
wow,
Queen.
you've done your research. Yep, gas
You
station
spend
and
all your
Dairy Queen.
time at the Dairy
Well,
not all your time.
there's not a lot of other places to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Your hot dog then was 25 cents.
probably, yeah.
And now the family.
Sure.
Your maternal grandfather was a journalist.
He was, yeah.
And he made the transition from radio to TV in a
Right.
pretty seamless fashion.
He did.
And your father, his father is Lebanese. He was adopted.
He was adopted, right.
So that's how this name's a little unusual versus Smith and Jones.
Sure, yeah.
And he's an engineer.
Yeah, he's still an engineer.
Builds bridges, roads.
Exactly.
Ends up in forest management.
Yeah.
And your mother, tell me about her.
Well, she followed a few different paths. She actually studied to be an architect for a bit, and then went into journalism, like her father, and was working for a newspaper in this small town, Veneta, and it was a weekly publication. So she was working on that publication for most of my youth.
Every Tuesday.
So Tuesday nights were the night that the paper went to bed, and so I wouldn't see her on Tuesday nights, and that was just how it was growing up. She would be working till all hours of the morning.
And your sister, 3 years younger.
Right. Big fan of Barbies, not so much Lego.
And she's a big driver, and her husband is a professional runner.
Yeah. My brother-in-law runs races as a living, and he's pretty fast, and that's how he makes his living.
You were the number one in your class in high school.
Valedictorian, yeah.
And tell me about the speech. You cited Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, well, yeah, at the time, this new book had come out, Oh, the Places You Can Go, so I used a lot of that as my basis for my speech, properly crediting him, but yes, that was the idea.
All the places you will go.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you think you would be going to the places you've gone to when you gave that speech?
Not at all, not at all. I was, again, graduating from this small high school, class of about 80 graduates, and was going to college in the big city. Was going to go try New York City and see what happened. But I didn't know much more than that.
Your major was journalism.
Yeah.
3,000 miles from this little town to this huge city, 8.5 million.
Mm-hmm. A little different.
And how did you
culture shock?
How did you handle that?
Not well. Not well. No, I'd never been to a big city like that before. I really, other than like Portland or Seattle, I hadn't been to anything larger. And so moving to New York, sight unseen, was a bit of culture shock. And it took me a bit to really get a hang of what it was like. I think it was good for me. It made me grow up a little bit and kind of develop who I became.
A bit of an odyssey.
A little bit, yeah.
You were searching for what?
At the time,
Yeah.
I don't know what I was searching for. I needed something. I did study journalism for a while, but it wasn't for me. I didn't feel like I was getting it out of it what I wanted to, so I turned back to doing some art. And as an artist in New York, obviously there's a lot of great artistic energy. There's a lot going on there, and I felt like maybe there was something there, but I didn't believe in myself then. And, well, what does a young, budding artist do when they graduate from college?
They go to law school.
They go to law school.
It seems a little upside down. Here you're talking about creativity, and from what I can understand, these lawyers of the world, they're involved in fear, greed, the government, and revenge.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nothing much creativity you see in most lawyers.
But
or any lawyer.
that was the key. That was the problem. So I went to law school. I practiced. I got a job practicing corporate law, M&A and securities, so mergers and acquisitions. My clients were buying and selling companies generally, and it was not a lot of room for creativity. And that was really the key. I would come home after a long day at the firm, and I would need some sort of creative outlet. And, some people go to the gym at the end of the day. Some people hit the bar at the end of the day. For me, I needed to just create something. And that's what really led me down this path.
And often coming home, you would even take your suit off. You would
Just jump right down on the floor.
and do Legos.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, you really started with fellow Friedman, who was
Tom Friedman?
your hero,
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
your heroes, and he made works of art out of sponges and wire and
So many things. And so many household items. Bottle caps, plastic cups, whatever it was.
did you try that?
I did. I did sculptures I've done sculptures out of bottle caps, I've done sculptures out of wire, I did sculptures out of candy. Which, if you're sculpting out of candy, little pieces of candy, is a lot like sculpting out of Lego, in the sense that it's additive in nature. You're taking tiny pieces, you're putting them together to create these larger forms. So it was additive sculpture, it was also delicious.
Have you tried fiction?
Writing fiction?
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote some short stories, I wrote some screenplays, I still have stacks of screenplays.
And your fallback, I understand, was movies. That you thought of that at one time.
Yeah, well, often in interviews, folks will ask me, if you weren't a Lego artist these days, what would you be doing? And I do think sometimes I would have liked to explore being a filmmaker, but I really haven't explored it much at all.
Well, I see that activity, unlike, I think fiction, really good fiction, is autobiographical.
I see where you're going with this.
And I'm also saying that the works, not the commissioned works, but the balance of your works are autobiographical.
Yeah, to a certain extent, for sure, absolutely. I think if you go through the exhibition and you look at the original works,
The original works.
not where I'm replicating something from art history, not where I'm trying to do a dinosaur, but where it's just the original works, a lot of them are coming from within, and they are just expressing where I was and where I was going at the time, for sure.
And that's kind of the same way with music
Yeah.
and art and poetry. It's all about the author. And
For sure.
And that's okay, but it seems to me that you can't do it unless you think about you and express your views of the world in the product of your imagination. Is that fair?
I think that's pretty fair. I think truly focusing on, my internal struggles has led to some of my works that I'm more proud of than others, for sure.
Thinking of what's going on here, you're creating value. I view value as a double-sided coin. There's the quantitative value of money, which is meaningless after a while. How many hamburgers can you eat? And then there's qualitative value. You're creating a benefit. You're creating an opportunity for someone to experience themselves.
Right.
Is that kind of what you're seeking the truth in journalism? At least that was one of the issues.
Sure.
That you're going to
Okay.
seek truth.
Right.
I'm not quite sure how lawyering is seeking the truth, but nonetheless, it was a fallback.
I think there's some truth in lawyering, not to go down this path too far. But as a lawyer, you look at a problem that's, say, black and white, and there's a little bit of gray, and you're trying to find that gray and define it, or at least argue why this gray, or why this gray is more black than white. And that is, in a way, seeking your version of the truth.
Well, but it's adversarial, and it's typically, and there's that authority of the government and revenge. I mean, you don't want to do divorce law because it's nothing but revenge. I guess it's highly profitable, but nonetheless, you can only eat so many hamburgers.
Right.
But what you're doing, the change from fear of greed, the government, revenge, to creating qualitative value is rather remarkable. You've taken toys and made them in an art form.
Well, that is the thinking. Yeah, I mean, it is about adding value to it, I suppose, in that sense. And really, for me, though, it wasn't about value. It wasn't about focusing on that as much as more of an inspirational point, where I wanted to take this toy and create something that no one had ever seen before, using it in a way that I hadn't seen before. And hopefully, the product would be something that would inspire then others. I think the role of an artist is to inspire others, and that's the idea behind it. This is something that's familiar to so many people, the toy, that it actually, hopefully, will reach even a broader audience than other forms of art.
Why art?
Why art? Well, it makes me happy. Creating art makes me happy. And I've talked about this before. When I was an attorney, I was not happy. I wasn't. I worked with some great people, but I wasn't happy. But creating art made me happy. And as I dove into this subject more, I've learned that, yes, creating art makes me happy, but it also makes other people happy. But even more than that, creating art also helps kids in school. If they have art in their curriculum, we're seeing higher test scores. We're seeing better graduation rates. So now I realize art in school is important. And beyond that, we also know that art is used a lot in medical therapy. Creating art helps in medical therapy. So the gist of all this is, okay, if you're creating art and it makes you, in medical therapy, it's making you healthier. Creating art makes you healthier. Creating art makes you smarter. Creating art makes you happier. So my conclusion is, creating art just makes you a better person. So if I can inspire folks to create more art, that is my goal. That's the idea, because I think that makes a better world. And I'm not saying we need to spend 3 months working on a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton. Just a little bit more doodling is going to make this place a little bit better. That's all I'm saying.
And that's for everyone.
Absolutely. That's my point. It's not about, creating these huge Lego sculptures. It doesn't even have to be Lego. It can just be finger painting with the kids. But just doing a little more creativity in your life is a good goal.
And any and everyone can and should do it, in a way.
Why not?
I'd like to talk about Blueprint for a second. And that's this book, this 2018 book,
Right.
authored by a behavior behavior geneticist from King's College London and University of Colorado Boulder. And the mission was to identify the impact of DNA upon the descendants. In other words, what do you think that, for example, the color of eyes is an inherited characteristic?
Right.
And most importantly, what do you think spatial ability is an inherited characteristic? Now remember, your dad was an engineer, or is an engineer.
Yeah, civil engineer. Right.
And look at spatial ability. The 5,000 participants in the study at the UK thought that spatial ability was inherited. The DNA was 33%. When in fact, I'm screwing this up, when in fact, 70%.
Wow.
So Nathan, did you have a choice? And do all of us fall into this kind of a category? Do we have a choice? I'm not saying you had to be doing what you're doing, but the proclivity, the leaning toward had to be what you're doing.
To a point. Yes, I agree. I think there's a 30% chance I wasn't going to do it. But yeah. But I think there also goes into, well, let's say the 10,000 hour theory. And this was something I was raised on, where I was working with Lego bricks as a child a lot, and I earned my hours. And there's this idea that if you do 10,000 hours of something, you become more proficient at it, and you can actually turn it into a career. And that, I think, is also a part of it.
Look about your eye color rather.
Okay.
95%.
Yeah. That makes
Height,
sense.
80%. Verbal ability, 60%. General intelligence, 50%. Personality, 40%. So I'm not suggesting that it's absolute, but it's an inclination.
Definitely an inclination, but it's nature versus nurture, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay.
And so nurture doesn't necessarily make a difference,
Right.
as much does nature.
Yeah. To a point.
To a point.
But yeah, that's interesting.
Nothing is absolute. The only thing that's absolute is the absence of something that's absolute.
Absolutely.
Nathan, I'd like to turn to another slide, if I can get to it. And that's the boxer. Tell me the backstory of the boxer.
All right. To be clear, this particular dog is not the one I'm going to talk about, but I will get to that in a second. So when I was 10 years old, I wanted a dog. My parents said, "You're not getting a dog." But what I had was this big Lego city. It was about 36 square foot Lego city. All the buildings, the gas station, the police station, fire station. And so when I couldn't get that Lego dog, what did I do? I tore down that Lego city. Building by building, I used those bricks to build myself a life-size Lego dog. And it was, it was multicolored, it was kind of rectangular, very boxy, and of course I called it a boxer. Now this particular dog is actually here at the museum, and this is from my exhibition, the In Pieces collaboration with Dean West. This actually is a dog we used in a photograph that appears here in the exhibition, where we've integrated this Lego sculpture into the digital photograph.
So bottom line, you did away with the instructions.
Well, that's key. Yeah.
The message here is that make sure you're permitted to forget about the instructions.
Right.
And so your entire life has been devoted to forgetting about the instructions. You're going to do what you really want to do. You're compelled to do.
Well, that's what I learned. I mean, as a lawyer, you are the ones who follow the instructions. I always think of the lawyer of the group as the one who, when playing a board game, they read the instructions. They know the rules of the game. And that's how I focused as a lawyer. And I learned that that was not always necessary, that there was a way to at least reinterpret the rules or reinterpret the instructions. And so early on, I discovered that not following the instructions of the Lego sets were key. If I wanted to pretend to be a rock star, I would take my bricks and build myself a guitar. And if I wanted to be an astronaut, I would take those bricks and build a rocket ship. it didn't matter what was on the front of the box. It was finding a way to take those bricks from that toy and create something brand new. And that's why, as a medium and as a toy, Lego bricks really allow so much. They allow you to create whatever you can imagine. And I don't think there are limits.
I think of accountants that typically have told a business person what they've done. And the lawyer typically tells a business person what they can't do.
Yeah, that's about right.
And then the business person does it.
Yes, and then says to the lawyer, now fix this.
That's right. Once it's broken, if it in fact is broken. The next one is the swimmer, the backstory of the swimmer.
The swimmer. Well, this goes a couple different places. Part of it is growing up with a family of athletes. And, you know, I have, my father still runs marathons. My mother was a runner for a while. My sister's a runner. As I said, my brother-in-law is a runner. And I did not want to do a running sculpture, so I focused on something else, and that was swimming. And I liked the idea of doing a human form where you only saw part of the human, you know, and kind of teasing the idea that this figure is swimming through water. And that's the loose bricks. I love using loose bricks when I can. You see that in yellow, you see that in swimmer, because it reminds the viewer of the medium immediately.
Now, you had a bit of an advantage in terms of this running, living not too far from the University of Oregon.
Right, yeah.
And I think Phil Knight, the shoe dog, the guy that created Nike.
Yes.
And you did run a bit, competed in the stadium.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough as a child to run a lot at the Autzen Stadium in University of Oregon.
And Steve Prefontaine.
Steve Prefontaine was, I mean, he still is a hero out in Eugene, Oregon. And he was a very famous runner who passed away suddenly in the prime of his career. And they have a Prefontaine Classic out there every year, which is one of the preeminent track meets of the world. And I was lucky enough to just be raised in that place and in that era where I was fortunate enough to be running on that track as a young kid all the time. I mean, weekly I would have track meets out there, not realizing the aura that was around me.
I want to think about and ask you to think about the transition from what you just expressed to New York City, going from your apartment to Winston Strong. You see these folks running. Did you ever want to say, hey, Charlie, Pete, hey, I'm a real runner. Let me tell you about Steve Prefontaine.
No, I mean, I'm not one that at the time would talk about myself very much. I wouldn't talk about that sort of thing. And I know I'm on a stage right now in front of all of you, but I'm an introvert at heart. And I created a job where I could stay alone in a room all day, every day. I mean, that's the idea. And, you know, the fact that I'm here right now is very outside of my comfort zone. And so at the time, you know, and to this day, it wasn't something I really talked about much.
No, I understand that, but just the idea you arrived from this huge metropolis
Right.
to New York City.
Yeah.
And you don't try to reach out and say, hey, you know, we have something in common or not.
It just didn't happen. I mean, what I did was when I got to New York, I did join the track team at New York University, and so those were my friends, I suppose, were the running partners at NYU. But it wasn't. I didn't really talk about you know, Autzen Stadium or any of that.
And swimming is a lonely sport, and
Yes.
running is a lonely
Yes.
sport.
Yeah, you're there alone with your thoughts a lot.
And that's okay. Matter of fact, that's a good thing,
Right.
in my view.
For sure.
Permits you to create some things
Yeah,
that
that's your
are
thing.
just you.
Right.
The next one's the writer. Now remember, your mother is a journalist.
Right.
Your maternal grandfather went from radio to TV.
Mm-hmm.
You started in journalism at NYU.
Right.
So the writer, that was a figment of
Yeah,
your
pretty
creativity.
autobiographical.
What's the story behind that? If
I
there
mean,
was?
it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you've described most of the points there. It comes from my history, and just wanting, you know, again, I love the human form. I love using the human form to tell a story, and just, I mean, One of the things, actually, when I was just starting out, using Lego bricks as an art medium, is I would look around my New York City apartment and say, okay, can I build things that I see out of Lego? So if I saw an apple, I would try and build that apple out of Lego. And then if I was successful, I would say, okay, can we build that same apple, but the size of a basketball? And if I saw a pencil, can I build a pencil out of Lego? But then I would say, okay, now that I've done that, can I build that pencil 6 feet tall? And then eventually that's the idea here is you have a figure and you have a pencil that's even larger than life. And that was the result.
Gray,
Yeah.
the backstory.
Well, this is a pretty personal one. I mean, this comes from, I go through some dark periods.
It was in your book, I remember.
Yeah, yeah.
So the issue
Which
is.
is for sale in the gift shop.
You don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people suffer from depression. I am one of those people. I go through some very dark times where I do not want to get out of bed or I don't want to do anything. And this piece is about breaking through that. So if you see this piece in the exhibition, it's a large gray box. The edge of the photograph doesn't really show it to you here, but the box is, this figure is inside this box, and it's about breaking through that. And the fact that it's gray is appropriate, I think, because depression feels dark gray sometimes. And this figure is just trying to break out of it and break through it, and that's what it felt like sometimes.
But 7% of the population has experienced one bout with depression in the last 12 months.
Right.
So they're in good company, or you're in good company.
I guess so, yeah.
Van Gogh, Jerry Seinfeld.
Right, yeah.
Marlon Brando, Winston Churchill, F. Scott Fitzgerald. I mean, this is not, putting it another way, some of the folks that have made an enormous impact on society, the value created in the qualitative sense, are typically inhibited or the subject of this activity.
Right.
So perhaps without that, you wouldn't be where you're at. Ever thought of that?
Well, no, of course. I mean, I have thought of that there is something to it. They are connected in some way. I don't know the causal connection exactly, but, but when you're in it, when you're down there, I mean, I don't think about it like that. When you're depressed, it doesn't matter if Winston Churchill or F. Scott Fitzgerald was there too. You're just trying to get to the next day. And that's sometimes how I have to approach it. It's just about getting through to tomorrow.
Now, knowing that characteristic, which by the way is not necessarily a bad thing,
Okay.
You chose Winston Strong as a lawyer.
And they chose me. Yeah.
Both ways.
Yeah.
But, you had
It's
to
a
be-
law firm.
Yeah,
in
you
New
had to
York
be
City.
pretty good academically to get into Winston.
Right.
It is about 1,000 lawyers worldwide.
Right. It's a big firm. They're based in Chicago, and I was in their New York office.
And corporate law, about 70%. And
Yeah.
a client, Tom Brady, is a client of the Winston firm. Did you know
I
that?
did not know that. Not when I was there.
No. McDonald's, Citibank, Credit Suisse.
Yeah.
So they were big deals.
Yeah.
So you could work during the day, and if you talk to some of your former colleagues or friends or classmates back home, you could say that I worked on a McDonald's deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I worked on a lot of aeronautics stuff. I worked in some eyeglassware. Luxottica was one of my clients, and some other bigger clients. A lot of big deals, a lot of billion-dollar deals, buying and selling companies. That's what was happening, and I was doing the paperwork.
Doing the paperwork.
Yeah, contracts here and there.
The due
some filings,
diligence.
a little bit of due diligence. Yeah.
Pouring through papers.
So when your client wants to buy a company, there's a lot of due diligence, and what happens is you'll go into their office and you'll go through their financial all their records, and it can be days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months of going through these boxes and boxes of documents, and it's a very, very, very tedious task. It's slow, it's sometimes quite boring, but it prepares you for being a Lego artist. Because it's a very tedious process. One brick at a time, very slow. I very methodical. There is, we kind of joke about it, but there is some truth. You have to have patience to be a Lego artist. It does not happen overnight. These are slow processes to create something like that.
And as the lawyer, you have to make sure that, let's assume it rained frogs. What would happen if it rained frogs? Put it another way, you're spending a lot of time on ifs and whats that may never have occurred.
I think a job as a lawyer, at least as a corporate lawyer, was you have to be risk averse, right? You have to analyze where there might potentially be risk for your client and how do we avoid that risk, or at least put that risk on the other party. So if it rains frogs, that's your client's problem, not my client's problem. And you have to think of that. And that's why it's such a juxtaposition that as someone who always was thinking about how to avoid risk, then I decided one day, let's throw this all away and just be an artist that plays with toys.
And let's not be risk averse, but you're going to take a giant step into the risk pool of water.
Absolutely. It was the exact opposite of what I should be thinking. But it was what I needed to do, what I wanted to do, and that risk was something that it fed me in a way. So when I left the law, I let my legal license expire. I never renewed it. If I wanted to practice law again today, I would actually have to go back, take the bar again. And I took the New York bar, and it's not something you ever want to repeat. So I did not want that safety net. I didn't want that, so that if it was kind of like just a little push behind me that you need to make it as an artist, or because you're not falling back on being a lawyer again.
The exit interview, 2004, MetLife building, the 42nd floor.
Yeah.
Put me there.
Okay, so I've made the decision now. I'm leaving the law firm to go play with toys. And, I've told some friends, I've told some colleagues, different reactions from both. Told my folks, they were actually supportive at the time. And then I had to go tell the partner that I worked for in the corner office, 42nd floor, MetLife building, beautiful view of the city in Manhattan. And I had to go up there and explain what I was doing. And he was just confused. He just didn't understand. And I think, the thought was like, Nathan, okay, whatever. We'll see you again in 3 months. But it was, for me, I had to tell him, like, this is it, I'm done, I'm leaving. And that turned out to be one of the best moves I've ever made.
You left the firm and you joined the Lego group for a bit?
Yeah.
6 months?
Yeah, I did 6 months with the Lego group.
How many months had you been with Winston?
About 4.5 years.
And so you were, in effect, almost a fifth-year associate, so
Right,
you got to do real meaningful things.
Oh yeah, I was running my own deals at that point. Yeah.
Now, back to the Lego group.
Sure.
The ball, rolling the ball.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. So Lego has a few tests you take to become a Lego master, if you will. And one of the best, I think, one of my most favorite moments was they give you a pile of bricks and they say build a ball, and then at the end of 20 minutes they take whatever you build and they roll it across the floor, and if it rolls straight, you get to go on to the next round. And if it rolls kind of to the side, they say, hey, thank you for coming. And if it just stays there, they're like, you built a cube. So that was one of those tests. And my ball, fortunately, rolled across the floor, and I got to go on to the next round.
How long did it take you to build the ball?
15 minutes.
15 minutes?
15 minutes.
Large ball, small ball, bowling ball?
Let's say grapefruit size, yeah.
Okay. So maybe you're thinking about this, and it could be you made the right choice, go in the wrong place.
Maybe.
Or the wrong choice with the right place.
Could be. Either one.
So you gave up a bit of conservative money, you're doing well fiscally. You got rid of your school debt of about $100,000, and you left, and you went to the Lego group, and then you said, look, I want to work for myself. I'm going to do what I want to do. Is that right?
Well, it's fairly accurate. I left the law firm still with the debt. That was still hanging over my head.
Still with the debt?
Still with the debt.
4.5 years.
Well, yeah. Law school is expensive.
Especially in New York.
Especially in New York. And, you know, it wasn't that I had been planning for those 4.5 years to become a Lego artist. You know, I was paying off that debt on the 30-year plan. That was, you know, we'll figure that out later. So I still had quite a bit of debt when I left. And I did join the Lego group for a short period of time where, you know, it's an honor to work for Lego. And that's true. But the backside of that is we don't pay that much because it's an honor to work for us. And so, yeah, it went from a six-figure salary to less than that. And it became a little tight for a little bit. And then I decided to leave Lego and go out on my own.
Jump off the cliff.
Well, it wasn't so much a cliff as that I wanted to pick and choose my own projects. You know, when you're working for Lego, they're going to assign you, okay, you're doing this, you're doing that. I wanted to be able to pick and choose what I was working on. And it really intrigued me, and I decided, you know, this is the route to go. Let's see if we can make it happen as a true career. And there were points when I didn't believe it. It was month to month. It was, you know, will I pay rent this month? And, you know, fortunately a project would come in, and I'm like, all right, I'm good for 2 months now. And then, you know, we'll see. And then something else would come in. And I just kept going like that for a couple of years.
But Nathan, you recognize that as a 5-year-old, and then as a 10-year-old, that this is what you've been doing. This is not something new. This is really you.
Well, yeah, it's easy to look back at that and say that, but at the time, no. It was just, I didn't recognize it. Maybe I should have, but I didn't recognize it. I just thought, well, we'll see how this goes, and there'll be something else. I'll figure something else out.
So the question is, why did you even go to law school? You had this enormous talent. Why did you devote 4 years of your lifetime pursuing this activity versus jumping into the Lego activity?
Well, I just didn't believe in my art. There's a lot of societal pressure, parental pressure maybe is a better way of putting it, to be a professional at that time, coming out of college. You know, what are you going to do? I don't know. Okay, why don't you go to law school? And how, I mean, I've talked to a lot of lawyers about this. Law school is one of those things that you can go to put off making a decision about what you're going to do. You know, I'm out of college, I don't know what I'm going to do, but if I could just go to law school, that's 3 more years of not deciding what I'm going to do. And there was some real truth to that.
So had you said to mom and dad, look, I'm not only not going to go to law school, I'm not going to go to NYU, I'm going to do this Lego stuff, they would have said, no, son, let's sit down.
Well, let's talk about it. Yeah, I think so, because I think by going to law school, it gave them the faith that I could then leave the law firm and do this full time, because I'd gone and done it. Okay, he's done it, he's been a lawyer, he's done it, it's not for him, he can go try something else. But if I had done it right out of college, I think they would have been a little more worried about me. I mean, it wasn't a job. Being a Lego artist was not a job. It was just something I made up at the time.
I understand one of the largest concerns, if not the only concern of a parent, is does the son or daughter have a job?
Right. Oh, of course, right? We don't want to be supporting them. Can they support themselves?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't regret being a lawyer. I think it's benefited me as an artist. I think one of the advantages, I mean, and very nuts and bolts about it, but the advantage of having that background is when I'm working with a client, I can negotiate directly with them. If we have a specific contract that the client wants to use, I can review it myself and not have to send it out to a third party. And that has been an advantage, that when I talk to other artists, you know, they struggle with the business side because they don't have that experience.
I'm thinking, what is the mission of the law school? In my world, it's teaching the student how to think. That there's 2 sides to every issue, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. And that's not a bad thing. As much as I denigrate lawyering in a way, frankly, it prepares a person to be able to think.
Oh, for sure.
And really seek the truth.
Seek the truth, exactly. And you learn to think critically, and that's key.
Courtney. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I get to Courtney,
Sure.
I want to talk about the yellow
Yeah.
and the exit speech. And this thing is actually 7 foot tall.
Yeah, that's one of my larger sculptures. So yellow that you see here at the exhibition, that's on the cover of The Art of the Brick, is the original version, the original life-size human form. And so recently I wanted to try and make it larger than life, and this is the result. So this is not toured, this is still in my studio, but this has recently been revealed as something I've been working on.
But this, I wouldn't say this is your most famous or your best or the one you like the most, but your signature piece.
I think, yeah, yellow as a piece has become pretty iconic for a lot of folks. For me, I get contacted about this sculpture more than any other piece by far, and so it has become a signature piece for sure.
And this is a story of someone tearing the person apart,
Right.
which is what you did.
You tear yourself apart,
You're
right?
right.
Yes, exactly.
And it's okay to do that. As a matter of fact, most people shouldn't be afraid to do that and find out what is your real passion, what do you want to
Exactly.
pursue.
Let it spill out.
Nothing wrong with that. Now let's talk about Courtney.
Okay.
There
Well,
she
that's a
is.
nice one.
That's yours.
Yeah, thanks.
I did that just before we came in, as you know. And talk about when you first met her.
Well, like any couple, we met on the Today Show. We were introduced by Katie Couric, and the rest is history. Years ago, she was a spokesperson, and I was also on the Today Show, and we met. And she was doing a segment, I was doing a segment. We met, and we luckily do have a photograph of her, Katie Couric, and myself, and it's pretty unique because it is the moment we met. How many couples can say they have that type of photograph from that moment? And then we stayed in touch over the years and eventually started dating, and now we're married.
French restaurant.
Wow. Yeah, French restaurant.
In a mall.
Yeah. Well, look, it was we were in San Diego.
That was one of your first dates.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Courtney, listen, let's go out for dinner. So you go to a French restaurant in a mall?
First of all, I was living in New York. She was living in San Diego. I flew out to take her out on a date, and I didn't know San Diego. And her friend owned a restaurant. She said, "Let's go to my friend's restaurant. It's a French restaurant in a mall. Let's try it." It was fine. Worked out. Still married.
Versus McDonald's.
Right.
Now, talking about, she closed her eyes and the flickering light, and all of a sudden, this was it as far as you were concerned.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You have hit a home run, bases loaded.
Sure.
This is the way it's going to be for the rest of my life.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And you recall that with such vivid imagination.
Well, she's become my muse. I mean, every exhibition I've done, there's a Courtney portrait in it, at least one.
And I can see this Courtney relationship running through a lot of your works. And we're not going to go over all of them, but there's a deep-seated attachment here with the spouse that's enviable to a large extent.
Thank you.
The older couple.
She comes from a very creative side as well, so it's worked out. The older couple, well, that's us probably in the future, right? That's the idea, is that love is eternal.
You saw this older couple,
Yeah.
and you thought, what way? This is us.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, autobiographical.
Very much so, very much so. Also, focusing on a body type that wasn't so specific. A lot of my body types are more aspirational, and this was a different approach.
These folks are not in any rush.
Right,
They're
but they're very happy.
in New York City, holding hands.
Right.
And this is what you hope you and Courtney can be.
I hope it's what everyone can be, right? It's that couples, can be, holding hands still years later.
And this, again, is the value that you created. You've suggested to people that this can be the two of us,
Right, exactly.
husband and wife.
And one of the things you'll notice is it's monochromatic. I'm just going to throw this out there, that a lot of my works are monochromatic. I'm using just one color to create these forms. And the thinking there is so that people can put themselves into that sculpture. If I make this look like a specific couple, then maybe someone looks at it and they're like, well, I can't see myself there. By using monochromatic sculptures, it allows the viewer to have more of a role in seeing themselves in the piece.
And that's good fiction, the same thing. If you can read good fiction, hey, that's me. I remember that activity.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're creating qualitative value. Did you ever think that this value creation was occurring, or is just doing it?
No, a lot of it was just doing it because, as I said, I was just focusing on the couple and trying to capture that moment, but not thinking about what the reaction would be.
The balloon story. Let's talk about the balloon story. In grade school, was it?
Well, I can think of a few balloon stories.
No,
I know.
all the red balloons.
The red balloons,
The red
yeah.
balloons.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so was I want to say second grade or first grade, my entire school, we went out to a field. We all had red helium balloons. We all wrote little notes on these cards, with our mailing address and such. We let them go in the hopes that they would be found somewhere by someone and mailed back to us. And we had one that was mailed back to us, and that was a pretty special moment.
The hangman. How does that relate to the balloon story?
Well, I don't remember where you're going with this.
Well, these are typically 15 inches high.
Oh, okay.
And you put them throughout the city, and you leave them there.
Right. Yeah, that's right. It's very tangential connection. So back to Hugman was my form of graffiti. I was in New York City. I saw graffiti all the time. I wanted to do some form of street art. So I came up with this little guy. He's 15 inches tall. I would put him on hugging like park benches or signposts or fence posts or something, and just leave him out there, and see what people's reaction to it was, and maybe with the hopes that it would
come back.
It would come back one day, right? But it's New York City, so they would be gone in a few hours.
I also think that we have
Mask.
the mask. Tell me the backstory of the mask.
Well, Mask is a piece, as you can see, it's a human form where the face is a different shade from the rest of the figure, and it's just we wear different masks, right? Depending on where we're at in life, where we're at just emotionally, or where we're at just physically, we'll put on different masks, and I think that's the gist of it. Pretty straightforward.
Source of identity, figuring out who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about identity and maybe a little autobiographical.
Maybe a little. You like gray. I noticed gray.
I love gray. It's my favorite color.
Why?
I don't know. I just like it. I think I like how the light hits gray as a Lego brick. I love how you get those shadows that you wouldn't get on, say, a black or another different type of color. You get these shadows and the light. Just there's something about it. Just looks so nice. So I have more gray than probably any other color generally.
It's almost the absence of color.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so does something
Which is a juxtaposition to Lego, because when you think Lego, you think red, blue, yellow. No, let's go gray.
Now, of course, your family is Catholic. I didn't see a whole lot of religious opportunities or works throughout all the works that I've seen. And I'm not sure this was intended to be of religious significance. Could you tell me the backstory in this picture?
Well, this figure kind of goes a couple different directions. Yeah, it's called Ascension, and there is a religious overtone to it, but I don't really put that out there. Yet more people tell me that's how they feel about it than any other piece, that this piece is more about have a religious overtone.
And that's okay, putting it another way, you're not sure what the perception will be of the work.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about the titles to some of my works, like Yellow, Gray. They're very simple titles because I do want the viewer to have a role in the interpretation. I don't want to tell you, this is what Yellow's about. You should focus on this part, and this is what you should take from it. That's not my role. I create the art. Now it's up to you to interpret it. And that's the viewer's role. And so something like this, it's ascension. But you can take it from there and interpret it how you will.
You've got to think. The individual viewing this.
Oh, yes,
must
the
think.
viewer must think. They have to participate.
It's kind of self-realization, as I see it. That the
For the viewer,
message
yeah.
is, what are you about?
Yeah.
What do you see? And that's, once you realize that, you've got it forever. Self-realization is the way to teach.
Exactly.
I think the Socratic method in law school.
Right?
Never answering a question, but posing a question, so the answer is something you come up with, which is this view is what you come up with, which makes it significant for you.
I agree.
My favorite is the globe. Little Rock, Arkansas. Courtney was with you. President Clinton. Tell me the backstory.
Yeah, well, I had the opportunity to showcase some of my work at the Clinton Museum in Little Rock, and President Clinton happened to be there, and I created a globe for him. Not this particular globe. It was didn't have the fists coming through it. It was just a regular globe. And he collects globes, which I didn't know at the time, which was it was just an interesting experience. But so we're in a room, and there's a lot of people there, and everyone wants to talk to President Clinton, and I've had a chance to chat with him, and I moved off to the side. And,
Is it a press conference?
yeah, it's a press conference announcing a new educational foundation that he was tangentially working with. And a young man came up to the president and said, I want to talk to him. And the president's like, okay, here you go. And he's like, not you, pushes him out of the way. I want to talk to the Lego guy. It's kind of a unique experience. That was quite a moment.
What was your age then?
I was 10 years, 9 years ago, 8 years ago. I was, I was younger.
36.
30. I was in my late 30s.
Yeah. So here, he wanted to take a picture too.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, he wanted to take a picture. That's what it was. And the president's like, okay. He's like, no, with the Lego guy. That's right. Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
What did you feel about that? I mean,
I was a little mortified because I was a little shell shocked to be meeting a president, and I didn't know, how he was going to react. He was fine with it, unfortunately. But for me, it was like, wow, I've impacted this kid, and I didn't even realize it. He was here to talk to me, not realizing a former leader of the free world was in the room.
so what do you think about, you expand that, you impacted on the life of this kid, wanting your picture.
Right.
How did you feel about, maybe I'm doing something that's valuable? Did you ever acknowledge that maybe I'm doing something that's valuable to society?
Well, I've come around to that, but at the time, no, I was still learning where my role was. Fortunately, I've been very lucky to get to where I'm at and to meet so many wonderful people and realize that I am having an impact, or the art is having an impact. I meet a lot of young children who maybe their heroes aren't sports heroes, right? Maybe their heroes aren't actors or actresses, but they come and they see the art and they say, well, there's something there. This is something I do at home, and this is something I could do as an adult, and maybe this is being an artist is something they'll pursue, and it's surreal, it's shocking, and it's special. It's really special, and it makes what I do all worth it.
It's not luck. You mentioned luck. I don't see this luck thing. This is a skill you possessed at 5 years old, and you've nurtured it.
That's kind of you to say, but I do think that everyone can apply themselves, and I do subscribe to that 10,000 hour thing. That if you really apply yourself to anything, you can find a way to take it to a new level. I was fortunate enough to find my niche and just apply myself year after year after year, and eventually, get better and better at it. I say luck because there are moments that I just couldn't believe would happen. Just being able to meet so many people that are so impactful around the world. Not just like President Clinton, but other presidents. I've met 3 presidents now. Who would have ever thought a kid from Veneta, Oregon, who plays with Lego bricks, is going to be meeting with world leaders, meeting with royalty, or Oscar winners or stuff? That just doesn't compute. And so there's got to be some luck in there, a little bit. Maybe not.
You found your passion. And so the message here is find your passion and go with it.
Yeah, no, that is it.
That's what you're all about.
Absolutely. If you have a passion, find it and go with it. I do get contacted still to this day from folks who are in their 9-to-5 jobs saying, how do you do it? How do you do it? And, I have a couple pieces of advice. You do need to make a plan. I didn't step out day one and do this. I had been working at it for a while and figuring out how I could make it. I was still practicing law and doing this in the evening. I think making a plan is key. And if you want to be a rock star, more power to you. That's the way to do it. But you're going to quit your 9-to-5 job and be a rock star. I think that's a great plan. But before you quit that 9-to-5 job, be sure you take a guitar lesson or 2. That's what I'm saying.
My view is the most valuable profession is that of a teacher. Teachers create ideas, birth ideas in individuals, and exploit no one. You're not doing it for the money. You're doing it for something other than the money. And Nathan, bottom line, aren't you a teacher?
I'm a teacher in the sense that I hopefully am inspiring, because I had a lot of teachers that inspired me. And it's funny you mentioned teachers, because about 20 minutes before I came here, my 8th grade science teacher called me. And this just happened. He was in Dallas, where I have another exhibition currently on, and he saw the exhibition, and he was a big inspiration to me at the time, and he just wanted to talk to me about it. And I was like, Mr. James, this is great, but I've got a theater full of people waiting on me. Let's talk later this week. But he did, we got to chat a little bit, and he was such an inspiration in my life. And if I can be that inspiration in others, I'm all for it.
Nathan, your most powerful childhood memory?
Oh, wow. We've mentioned a few,
No, the most powerful one.
What does that mean? The most powerful one.
It's up to you to tell me what it means. It may not mean anything, but it seems to me you've had all these memories, and among them, there's got to be one that stands out, or not. Maybe not.
So many things are running through my head right now. Because the first Lego set when I was 5 years old. I can remember that set to the piece.
Your grandfather gave it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was Christmas morning. Had a big tag on it that said, "Do not shake." I shook it. And to the bane of my sister, I avoided the rest of Christmas morning and just played with that Lego set. This was it. This was it. That was one of those moments. I sat down immediately and was taken to it. And in my studio, in my office of my studio, you go in there and that set is still there.
So what you're doing now is what you did when you were 5 years old.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can all say that, right? To a certain extent. Finding your passion is something that I do preach, and I do think it's important. And if you look at what you were doing as a child, maybe you can tap into what your passion is.
tough one. My boy.
Yeah.
Backstory on this one.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, the main thing that I talk about when I talk about this piece is the first reaction I saw. I debuted this at a gallery, and a woman started crying when she saw it. And for me, that was about wow, this work is transcending a toy. She's seeing a sculpture, she's seeing the story. She's not seeing a bunch of Lego bricks. She's not crying about Lego. She's crying about the story here. And I think that was an important moment for me when I realized what this art could do.
It was inspired by a novel. What novel was that?
Do we have to talk about this?
No, we don't have to talk
No,
about it.
you know, I mean, yeah.
No, we do not have to talk about it. but
The point is, this is not inspired by a specific family I knew. It did come out of a story I read, and it was still a powerful story. And I thought that I would, translate that, and that's what inspired it. And it has become one of the more impactful pieces.
Yeah, and the viewer, the impact on the viewer is something that you didn't necessarily expect.
No, not at all.
But it's very touching. I can empathize with that.
Right.
And so you're bringing to the table the opportunity for people to re-experience experiences, and that's a good thing.
Generally, yeah. I mean, if you can affect folks to have that experience where they have that feeling, even if it's re-experiencing anything, even a sad feeling, that is a role that art should take.
That makes you what you are, and that's okay.
Right.
The hawk. A little bit of background about the hawk.
Yeah. This piece was a commission piece, and it's for a skateboarder. His first name's Tony, last name's Hawk, and yeah, he wanted a piece to put in his home, and so I created this for him.
Well, I think I've beat you up enough. And it's been my privilege, and is there anything you want to talk about we haven't talked about?
No, I think we've hit a lot of it, right? I feel like, we've got the gist of it. Lego is something that for me has become my medium of choice, and I've enjoyed it very much, and I continue to hope to do so. And I hope you all enjoy the art of the brick and get a little inspired by it.
Yes, and thank you for your time and effort. This has been, as I said, a privilege, and good luck on continuing your teaching experience.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Wow. How about that? Ed Sikowski, I don't know how many hours you spent researching Nathan Sawaya, but I am in awe. And Nathan Sawaya, I'm in awe. So thank you for what a great conversation we've had at the Peoria Riverfront Museum. Ed mentioned earlier tonight the coffee and the M&Ms. So for Nathan to take back to his studio, we do have an official Peoria Riverfront Museum coffee mug. Fantastic. And one for Ed too. So, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, thanks. Thanks, Peoria.